it's a lot of times about where we start. A lot of times we want something big, but we forget to embrace where we start. So this lesson is start small, okay? Start small. We want to make sure that we're starting small, but we don't lose focus on what we're starting on. And that's okay. Now, the one inspiration of this lesson that I had, and this is personal, is my dad. This is what I call Wayne's lesson. As much as I was working on it, he just kept coming into the picture. I'm like, I'm in the Bible and I'm thinking about my dad. And you'll see exactly where I'm going with this. But we have to follow God's plan for our life, but we have to build on it, okay? And we can't forget to, I guess the focus is, don't ever take it for granted. When God gives you something, notice that it was a gift just to give you the inspiration. But so many times we want more than that. We want the whole thing. But he's advising us and he's trying to step us and get us onto the path, but we don't want to go onto the path because the path is not all rosy and pretty. But we don't notice that once we walk a few steps, it opens up and there's all the things that we wanted. But so many times since it don't look, this ain't nothing. This just old rocky path. Look like the other path I was on. I ain't getting on that. And we don't take those initial steps and treasure what we have, and we lose complete focus on where we're going. So let's go to, I want you to go to Zechariah and stay there, 4, and we're going to start at verse 7. But Zechariah, Haggai, and Malachi, minor prophets in the Old Testament. What happened during their time is Cyrus took over from the Babylonian Empire, right? So we know the Israelites were taken and exiled into Babylon. Remember Daniel and Abednego and all those guys, right? They were all taken and kept in Babylon. And so when Cyrus took over, he let them go. Go back to Judea, okay? Go back to Judea. Well, they go back to Judea, and one thing that was the central part of that was the temple. The temple had been destroyed. Well, they wanted to rebuild the temple. So in 539 BC, when they were released, they get back and they want to rebuild the temple. They start, but then they soon give up because it's just too big of a job, right? It's like we don't have all the people that we had before. We don't have all the backing that we had before. So they just let it go. Well, about 19 years later, Haggai and Zechariah set about urging people to take up and rebuild the temple again. And this is the phase of the second temple. This is where the second temple period begins. And I want to look in Zechariah 4:7. I'll tell you where we're going to start. Zechariah 4:7 says, "What are you, mighty mountain, before Zerubbabel? You will become level ground. Then he will bring out the capstone to shouts of God blessed, God blessed. Then the word of the Lord came to me. The lands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands will also complete it. Then you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent you. Who dares despise the day of small things? Since the 7 eyes of the Lord that range throughout the earth will rejoice when they see the chosen capstone in the hand of Zerubbabel." The capstone. This was the one brick that they brought to start the building of the temple. One brick, one stone was brought out to start the process. And notice that it says with this capstone, God's eyes were on it, and the people were exalting and rejoicing. God bless it. God bless it. This is a lot of happiness around one brick. But this one brick is the beginning to something that is bigger. It's almost like a groundbreaking ceremony, right? You got the land and now you're about to start building, so the people get the golden shovels. But before that groundbreaking ceremony happened, there was a lot of deals that were made, a lot of conversations that were had, a lot of commitments that were joined into. A lot of things went on behind the scenes before it was made public into a groundbreaking ceremony or a bricklaying ceremony, if you want to say it that way, right? So there was a lot going on there. A commitment was made. Now notice, when you go through all of that process, God is being pleased. But what if you just dug a hole and left it and didn't do nothing more? Everybody cheering, oh, commitment's been made, a brick has been laid. You know what happened? The grass just grow over that brick. You can put that brick right in the ground and clear out all around it. And if you walk away, grass will grow right over that brick. And you'll never know it was there. And a lot of us do it just like that, right? We'll start a process, and then we'll just let the world take it over. And we don't build on it. We don't add to it. We just let it go. And then we found ourselves in the same place. And when you clean up your house sometimes, you'll go back and you'll find the beginnings of these processes. You'll see things you bought, note cards, pens, paper, notes, lists, little trinkets that, oh, this is going to be the beginning of a scrapbook maybe that you never put together. This is going to be the beginning of my journaling process, and I started one page. This is going to be the beginning of me committed to this, and I just went this far. And it was supposed to be this big, but you left it right there. And all these years have gone by, and it's still one brick. But we got to build on the brick. We got to put more on it. Well, the thought is this is Old Testament temple. This was a brick. But let's go to the New Testament. In 1 Corinthians 3, 16 through 17. Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is sacred, and you together are that temple. So we together are the temple, but you individually are the temple as well. Go to 1 Corinthians 6:19. 1 Corinthians 6:19. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. So we are the temple that is being built upon, that things are being started in, that are being invested in, and we're starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping and not continuing into where we need to ultimately go. And the sad part is now the earth overtakes it, so we have to clean it up again, start over. Clean it up, start over. Clean it up, start over. When you don't continue the process, it's hard to reach the finish line because now your structure is not sound. If you start a house and just leave the frame there and say, I'll come back and finish the rest of it next year. So you put all the wood there, it's ready, and you just let the weather take it over. You let everything beat up on it without covering and protecting it. You're going to have to tear that down and start all the way over because you didn't finish the process and you let the world beat up on it. Let's go to 1 Peter 2. 1 Peter 2, starting at verse 4. 1 Peter 2, verse 4 says, as you come to him, the living stone, rejected by humans but chosen by God and precious to him, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. And our last verse in this part of it, 2 Corinthians 6:16. What agreement is there between the temple of God and idols? For we are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will live with them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. So sometimes people, we may feel broken, destroyed, hurt, just like this temple was broken down in the Old Testament and needed to be rebuilt. But when you make that commitment to God, you can rejoice in the fact that he is investing in you and something great is about to happen. He is taking you somewhere very special, somewhere very great, somewhere that you want to be. So you want what God wants. That has been established, right? Now it's time to build. You made a commitment to him. He made a commitment to you. The deal has been made. The documents have been signed. It's just time to start building. and you start with the brick. And you walk out with the brick and say, I'm going to do this. And you put the brick in the ground that's going to lay the foundation for all this to happen. And then you walk away. Then you stop. And you stare at that brick. This is going to be great. But you never add another brick. You just let it sit there level with the ground. People, there are so many things that if you dig, if you just go out in your backyard and dig, I'm pretty sure you'll find so many things that is just buried in the earth. Our little walkway out here was buried. It used to be grass until one day I was just out there cleaning. And we got a whole bunch of bricks under here. And you scrape away the grass and you're like, it's a nice brick walkway. We never saw. Because if you let things sit level with the ground long enough, it will get covered up by the earth. Because it's not taken care of. It's not being built upon. So we have to make sure that we do what we need to do in order to invest in ourselves. Go to Luke 16 and 10, starting small. It says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. When God gives you much, a lot of times he doesn't give you just all the workings of it. He gives you what you need in order to build much. A lot of times we ask him thinking one day we're going to wake up and somebody's just going to show up at our door and say, here go your new house and your new car and all this money and all this. Oh, thank you, Lord Jesus. But he gives you the building blocks to make it where it needs to be. Other people may not be able to see it, but he's giving you the vision. And this is where my dad came in. Because when I look at how he started pretty much everything, nobody else could see it. So he started his business, and I guarantee you, I was young, but I guarantee you when he told everybody that he was finna start his own business, and they said, man, you ain't been able to hold down a job working for other folk. How you finna go out here and do your own thing? And he went out there and did it. And been doing it for the longest, right? Had to teach yourself how to do it. That's hard to see. Imagine somebody telling you to go out and do something that you don't know how to do all the way. You know how to do pieces of it, but you don't know how to do everything. But you taking on these jobs and learning as you go. That's not easy. And that's hard just to step out there and say, I'm going to build on this. Say, okay, well, what kind of background you got? And you give it to them and say, well, I want you to start doing this. Well, you go from being a Mr. Fix-It to building houses. That takes some serious stepping to get through that, right? Then you just look at, okay, from where he was to being a bishop, to being a doctor, that's kind of tough, right? That took more than a couple bricks. But here's the other thing. Nobody else saw it. He saw it. He knew where he was going, but how do you sit back there and look, hey, I'm going to do this? Man, you might want to use that brick somewhere else, Doc. I don't know if you want to put that brick in. Maybe you top out at usher, minister, maybe, but you trying to go do your own. I don't know about that. But the start where you start in the basement, then go to this church, then go to this church, and now we're here. Who saw that coming? So you see these bricks coming into motion. But I said, well, God, how did he do it? Sitting in my office, and I'm thinking, what did you say? Because I shouldn't even be up here. That's the way I was looking at it. He got me up here. His bricks, he throwing bricks at me. Yeah, how you? Here go your brick. I don't want this brick. Put it down, okay? So I'm like, well, how is God influencing him to do all these things? Focus. Now, he will drag you into his world, kicking and screaming, because of his focus. So when he gets a hold of something, he don't let it go. I can't wait till we get this baptismal pool built. Because he's going to call me every day until this baptismal pool is built. And he'll tell you all the detail. We're going to take this out. We're going to do this. Then we're going to do this and do this. Then all this going to be this. And then we're going to have the floor. And you're like, okay, whatever you want to do. I was good if you just step off in there and lay me into something and turn over. Get this side. I'm just like a piece of chicken in there. Like, okay, every side wet, we good. It worked for me. But now we need a pool. Okay. But he going to call you and let you know. And you wonder, man, why you keep bothering me about these small things? Because the small things go to big things. But if you can invest when it's small, then God knows you'll be a good steward over it when it gets big. Because if you ignore it just because it's just a phone call, it's just a conversation, it's just the person that I need to call, I call them later. And if you like that with them now, how you going to be with them when it grows? So it's not about lack of recognizing that it's small and a lack of focus. It's that you have to make sure that you laser in on every phase of your building process, because if you let go at any time, you'll lose it. Because if God blessed you with something and he said, okay, you can play the guitar or the piano, that's what I want to do. And I'll write my own music. And that's where you want to get to, but you don't know how to play yet. So if I were to give you that gift and you say, I'm going to learn how to play, or I'm playing, and now I'm just going to write my own music. Maybe. But if you diligent in learning and invested in yourself and now you good, guess what? You definitely going to be diligent when it comes to writing your own music and doing your own thing, because you've invested so much you didn't let it go. But when you can let go of stuff so easily, how you going to trust it when you get something big? You can't take care of nothing big if you can't care of anything small. If you killing fish, why would I give you a dog? That don't make sense, right? You can't water the plant. How you going to feed the dog? The plant just dying left and right. It ain't even asking for nothing. It's just sitting there, hey, please, please. Come on now. Come on. You see me. It just take a cup of water. Dog got a bag and oh, what's wrong with you? You need to go outside. I'm hungry. Please. You ain't good caring of the dog. So why would God give you something bigger when you can't take care of the small things? We have to make sure that we are trusted with the small things. People, I want you to remember this. Go to Romans 8:28. I want to read this. 8 and 28, we know this very well. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. This is all things, so small, big, whatever. If we trust God to put in us what we need and to give us what we need, we got to take care of those things all the way through. A lot of times when we ask for things, we ask for big things because we need big things. But God will give you something small. So we'll ask for shade. Lord, give me shade. Shield me from the weather. And he gives you a seed. Man, what am I doing this? We ask for fruit. I'm hungry. Give me fruit. And he'll give us a seed. What am I going to do with this? We ask for protection. He gives us a seed. What am I going to do with this? And you discard it. But he's telling you, nurture this seed and you will get shade. You will get protection. You will get fruit. You'll get everything that you need if you take care of the seed. But you want him to come out with a backhoe, dig in the earth, and bring out a full-grown tree and plant it in your yard. Look at this beautiful tree. But had you went and planted that seed and took care of that seed and nurtured that seed, then that seed would now be taking care of you. But instead, we expect just this big revelation of things to happen instead of saying, and when he put the tree in the yard, guess what's going to come with the tree? Instructions. You see this big old tree? Now, it ain't root system ain't good yet. So what I need you to do is you're going to have to put in this type of fertilizer. You're going to have to do this type of watering. You're going to have to make sure you structure real good so it don't fall for about a year so that the roots take structure. And guess what? If he gave you that, you're going to come back, the tree done fell on your house. It ain't took because you ain't did what you were supposed to do with the tree. But if you were able to get that seed to grow into a tree, I guarantee you're going to make sure that tree staying strong for the rest of his life. But it's get easier and easier to take care of the tree since you've been taking care of that seed. Because as it's a seed, you're going to have to do certain things. You're going to have to trim it and nurture it and make sure, okay, you good tree? And then that tree starts taking care of you. But we have to make sure we're willing to invest in the seed. Because if we can't invest in the seed, we can't be trusted with the tree. So it all starts very small. Small habits drive big changes. Well, how do you change your habits? Ain't that just the hardest thing to do? So I was studying on this, and one thing that I found is there's a guy named Mr. Clear. His last name is Clear, James Clear. And he said if you just put in 2 minutes a day into your new habit, it'll take hold. 120 seconds, people. That's all it takes. So if you're able to do, and it's whatever you want to do, guaranteed, because 2 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but it's longer than you think. If I told you I would give you, you go on a 2-minute run, you run for 2 minutes, it's a long time, right? Now, other things, if I told you, hey, microwave this meal for 2 minutes, oh, that ain't that long, that's quick. But if somebody was punching you for 2 minutes, that's a long time to get hit, okay? It's a real long time. So you have to think about 2 minutes in perspective is a long time. A guy he was talking to actually lost over 100 pounds doing 2 minutes habit. He would go to the gym, and he would go in there, and after 120 seconds, he would leave. He did that for 6 weeks. Now you say, how in the world he lose 100 pounds on that? Now the 6 weeks, he didn't really lose 100 pounds. But what he did is he would make sure he went in there for 2 minutes. He'd get on treadmill, he'd do something for 2 minutes. And after going for so long, it just became a part of his daily habit. Had to go. And since he was there, might as well do something. So 2 minutes became 5 minutes. 5 minutes became 10. 10 became 15. And guess what? He's enjoying it as he goes. And all of a sudden, the habits start to take hold. So when you start doing things, whatever it is that you're doing, start with a small habit to allow it to grow. Because a lot of times, I don't have time to read. 2 minutes. I don't have time to study. 2 minutes. I don't have time to pray. 2 minutes. I don't have that much time to spend with God. 2 minutes. I guarantee you your 2 minutes will grow. And even if it stays at 2 minutes, that'll be the best 2 minutes of your day. If you can read something for 2 minutes, that'll give you so much insight. And guess what? If you can do anything for 2 minutes, for just a little while, isn't that better than 0 minutes? So if you go add to your brick every day, spend time on it, just a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, a little bit time here, a little bit time there, you're adding growth. A lot of times we look to say, well, I need to spend an hour on this, and I need to spend it. You may not have an hour, and you may not ever get it, but that's okay. To spend that little bit of time on something, it will start to develop and blossom and grow and become something that's so great, that's so big, all because you put a little bit into it, because it will show your diligence and your focus. It won't allow you to forget it. Remember we talked about going to clean up your house? If you clean up your house now, you're going to find all that stuff. You don't forget about all that stuff. And that it's going to make you remember when you go see it again. But imagine if you looked at it every day and did something with it. Don't just stick it on your refrigerator, right? Don't put it on your bathroom mirror because you'll look around that, all right, and walk on. It don't matter. Do something with it every day, just a little bit, and watch it blossom and grow. If you read a book, 2 minutes a day reading a book, you'll find yourself reading a couple pages. Next thing you know, you finish with the book. But to sit there, I don't have time today, I don't have time today. Now you don't forgot what Ted told Jane and everything else. You got to start all over again to figure out who these people are because you don't set it down for 6 months. Read a little bit every single day. Now I know these are basics. What's so holy about this? Nothing. That's the beautiful part of it. There's nothing magical or mystical about these steps. God put into us what we need. He said, be faithful in that which is little. And all we got to do and to be faithful in it is not let it go. Keep going until we reach the finish line. That's all faithfulness is, investing in it. God, you gave me this brick. You told me to add some bricks to it. I don't want to be like the guy who you gave the talents who went out and buried it. I want to do something with it. I'm just going to add to it. Add to it. And guess what? People may come help you and bring you some more bricks and help you add to your own house, right? So you can be invested in. God loves you, people, and he wants you to succeed. And all the things that we complicate, he simplifies. And he's trying to make it simple, and we trying to make it complicated. But start small. And the reason why you start small is because you can learn small. And then you get the more complicated things. But yeah, I want to be here. Well, guess what? It takes some baby steps to get there. But it also takes a lot of focus to take those steps. So don't discount your steps. And just because you're going a little bit slower than anybody else, just say, hey, it don't matter. Because last time I checked, when people run the Peachtree Road Race, what's the prize at the end? A shirt. Right? You run all that way for a shirt. Now, I know the one who finishes first, they go for, they going to run on in other marathons and all that type of stuff. And that's different. But from the first person to the last person, you get a shirt. And at the end of the day, people ask, did you finish the Peachtree Road Race? Yes, here's my shirt. What place you came in? Could have been last. Nobody care. You finished the race. Because it's more people that have not finished the race. It's more people that hadn't even went downtown that day, that didn't even attempt to race, that didn't even think about the race, that never even entered the race. So the first step is entering the race. The next part is just taking step by step by step by step till you finish the race. And every step, no matter how small, no matter how tiresome, no matter how grueling, is worth it when you get your prize, which is that shirt. And I guarantee you, although it looks like a regular shirt with just regular print on it, you go to somebody who done ran that race and try to throw that shirt away. They want their shirt because they work for that shirt. So whatever God has for you is yours. And you just have to finish the race one step at a time. Do not discount your steps.